Proceed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I am not too uncomfortable with your pronouncement because I know since you are my very good friend, I wouldn't want to ask you to put you in a difficult spot for an extension and in order to exploit that friendship, but I'm certain I can do that with the Honorable Deputy Speaker. Mr. Speaker, along with my colleagues, I wish to commend Dr. Ashni Kumar Singh and his able staff for once again producing a budget 2014, paving a better life for all Guyanese, which is a continuation of similar budgets in the past. The philosophy, Mr. Speaker, of the People's Progressive Party civic administration has always been one that is people-centered. And the title of this budget adequately captures the thinking of the People's Progressive Party. Mr. Speaker, in the past I've had the pleasure of serving my party in Region 9, in the Rupununi Savannah. I traversed that area on bicycle, on horseback, later on motorcycles. I have never had the pleasure of traversing there with ATVs or four-wheel vehicles or any other four-wheel vehicles, which is the norm now. And I can safely say, Mr. Speaker, that the first time I attempted to come out of Region 9 and by land was in 1991. It took me 3 days. 3 days from Lethem to Georgetown. And parts of the trail was in such difficult condition that utilizing a Model M Bedford truck that has the capacity to use the winches, you could not climbing up some of those hills, even stop the truck to reel in the winch. 5 or 6 of us had to be walking ahead of that truck with the winches on our shoulders so that the truck continues moving. I suspect the honorable member, Mr. Joe Harmon, retired Lieutenant Colonel, would know about some of these conditions, given his experience in the Army. So, Mr. Speaker, I found it strange that Mr. Alikok, honorable member, would have made reference now when you could easily do the Georgetown-Lethem route in 10 hours, 12 hours. And I found it very strange that he could say that things are worse off now when we have
Somebody advise you about that, or do you see it from your own knowledge?
mini buses traversing into the area. Mr. Speaker, the community support officers, there is an agreement between the Ministry of Health and the Regional Democratic Councils of Region 1, 7, 8, and 9 for 161 community support officers to be fully placed in the administrative sectors of these regions. 198 of these officers, Mr. Speaker, received training in the management of the photovoltaic system, the solar panels, and management of basic computer hardware. This is to supplement the government's initiative to make available the 1 laptop per family to communities, and also to provide with them the basic power supply needs in those areas that are not connected by the national grid. 102, Mr. Speaker, received training in the development of business plan. 37 received training in various areas of agriculture, sustainable logging, cash crop management, beekeeping, basic bookkeeping, etc. 194, Mr. Speaker, of these CSOs received training in governance. And Mr. Speaker, they are adequately serving these regions in which they have been placed. In relation to region number 9, especially within the Anai area, of which Mr. Honorable Member Sidney Alikok is familiar with, the Tushau there, Mark George, stated clearly, Mr. Speaker, that most of the CSOs, they are females, and they are very helpful to the village council. They are engaged in a lot of different institutions and activities in the villages, including tourism, agriculture, in the school, and also the village council office itself. And, Mr. Speaker, based on Tushaw Mark George, these CSOs, they are in the office every day. They report to the office every day. Mr. Speaker, during the course of the budget debate, Honorable Member Vola Lawrence would have made mention to a subject which I think touches all of us. And it's painful to read of occurrences of child rape, to read of occurrences of rape of mature women by, of course, men, some of them ordinary laborers, as is a recent case in region number 1, involving a 6-year-old child. And Mr. Speaker, I remember my 6-year-old daughter, and I shudder to think if something like that could have happened to her. And frankly speaking, I don't know what is sexual about a 6-year-old child. You know, there are really some sick people in society. And, you know, not only laborers, Mr. Chairman, and I think the Honorable Member Valerie Lowe also spoke about this matter, and I think all of us in this assembly need to take a conscious effort to a renewed pledge to really address this matter, because it is one that can consume all of us. And whilst the Guyana Police Force is making steps to bring justice to some of these cases, there needs also to be a continuation, not only from the arrest of these perpetrators or alleged criminals, but also the continuation of that process to bring a close by virtue of the trials, because both parties can suffer from the long time before these matters are concluded. I'm not too familiar with the legal terminology, but I suspect, Mr. Speaker, everyone in this assembly gets the gist of what I'm saying. I mean, there's a case of a prominent public figure arrested in 2010. The case is still pending on multiple charges of child molestation and all of that. So we need, as a National Assembly, to give whatever support we can to our Guyana Police Force, to do whatever we can in terms of the judiciary, the legislative framework, to bring these matters to speedy conclusion. Because I also shudder to think about an innocent man or woman being held on a charge and not being able to prove their innocence. And I shudder to think of the victims who are awaiting justice for those who are guilty. So, Mr. Speaker, I really want to add my voice to support the call for the fight, the renewed fight against this kind of criminal activity, this inhumane kind of activity that is prevalent in our society today. Mr. Speaker, various speakers over the last 4 days and today would have spoken at length on the presentation by Dr. A.K., Honorable Minister. And Mr. Speaker, sometimes it's very advantageous to come later down in the debate, but it also has its disadvantages in the sense that some of the big points you want to make would have already been mentioned by your colleagues. Suffice to say, Mr. Speaker, you have the advantage of also responding to some of the issues that would have been raised not only on this side of the House, but also on the other side. The Honorable Carl Barrington Greenwich, Mr. Speaker, I think he has left the chamber, spoke about VAT. Mr. Speaker, I recall last year that this matter was raised. And I said, well, you know, the value-added tax in Guyana, whilst it's 16% rated, it also replaced a number of other taxes. The burden is less on our community. The consumption tax alone, Mr. Speaker, used to be 35%. And the value-added tax has been proven in all jurisdictions where it was tested and tried, including developed jurisdiction, to be an effective means of collecting taxes. But the government did not just implement the VAT in Guyana. Mr. Speaker, the honorable member, Mr. Green, spoke about items for zero rating and so on. I don't know whether he's familiar with the list of items that have been zero rated by this government. All items, numerous, hundreds of items. Mr. Speaker, I'll need an hour to go through this booklet. Essential food items, essential consumable items, essential domestic services, food, education material, medical supplies, and all of that. You want rice, it's zero rated. Bread, zero rated. Milk, it's zero rated. But Mr. Speaker, some items you must pay VAT on. I'm afraid we can't really zero rated Porsche and similar type vehicles, but we need the tax also to provide for the education, the health, the sea defenses, and the roads and so on for our communities. Mr. Speaker, the issue of the NIS was raised, and the NIS indeed is becoming additionally, we're calling on the NIS additionally to provide pension for our aging population. Simply because, Mr. Speaker, we have an expanding aging population. Because of the health care, the better quality of lives that Guyanese are enjoying, more and more people are joining the ranks of the elderly, the pensioners, and we have to provide for them. And the NIS, I'm certain that, Mr. Speaker, that we as a collective body have to make every effort to ensure that the NIS is managed in a proper way so that it can continue to provide for our elderly. And as was mentioned by previous speaker, Mr. Speaker, we provide for everyone. This budget provides for everyone, even for the unborn babies. We provide for them, and we provide and continue to provide for our elderly way beyond the retirement age. In 2011, Mr. Speaker, the election campaign by some of the parties, especially in the sugar belt, and especially by some leading members of the AFC, those campaigners, senior members of the AFC would have been going around in a targeted way in mainly areas that are supportive of the PPP. I did not see that kind of targeted attention being placed in the areas that traditionally have been giving support to the PNC. It would appear that there seemed to be some kind of agreement, of which Mr. Williams is not aware of. There seemed to have been some kind of agreement at another level to provide for the AFC to concentrate primarily in the PPP support areas and allow the PNC to regain that which they have lost in those areas. And a lot of promises were made. Sugar workers were promised the moons and the stars and everything if we get into office. Less than a month ago, Mr. Speaker, you would have seen a recanting of those promises when the call was made to shut down sugar. Let's go and dig some ponds and rear tilapia. So out there, Mr. Speaker, when you're campaigning for the votes, it's one thing, and then later down the line, there seemed to be a betrayal of those promises in terms of dealing with the sugar sector. Mr. Speaker, sugar is in difficulties. The Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Finance, other ministers would have stated clearly what are the plans to bring the sugar out of the difficulties that is in currently. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Member Catherine Hughes, I think spoke very passionately, eloquently about our sector, the tourism sector, and compare our VAT collection system with a number of Caribbean countries, including the Bahamas, Jamaica, Barbados, and so on, and saying that, they have a tiered approach to tax on this sector. I don't think we're ruling that out on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker. The President has clearly made his intention known. He has commissioned a committee to examine these taxes, to make recommendations to how we deal with it. But, Mr. Speaker, we also have to examine our country's core economic activities. What is it that this country can do with distinct advantages over other countries? We don't have sun, sand, sea, and beaches. a lot of people say we have rain, and we have rivers, and we have the El Dorado. I'm not saying that, but there are different tourism that we can promote. But as a nation, we're relatively young in this line of business, and we can examine the recommendation. And that is why I'm saying that the honorable member made a number of recommendations which I'm certain can be taken on board. But Mr. Speaker, in order for us to give more to the tourism sector, prudent management, prudent financial management tells you clearly that you cannot expend more whilst you're collecting less. So we need to maintain a revenue system that can fund our core activities and provide for economic development so that we can generate more funds. And whilst more funds to target our core activities. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, the sector is an emerging sector. But notwithstanding the Bahamas and Barbados area, the investment in this sector is significant. Over $800 million, Mr. Speaker. Over $800 million. Rice is a core sector. The minister gave us $500 million. Of that, we're thankful. And we'll make good use of it. But as an emerging sector, we have to recognize that $800 million has been provided in this budget for the sector of tourism, to put in place the Hospitality Institute. This is significant, Mr. Speaker. Visitors in 2013 number over 200,000, which is a 13.3% over the visitors in 2012. Clearly we're going places, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I'm not opposed the lobby for a reduction in taxes for the 4x4s. I've been asking for that for rice farmers. We have had a reduction for the single cab. We're looking for the double cab also because the farmer wants to take his family into the back dam too. Similarly, ecotourism operators will want the luxury vehicles to provide not for themselves the comfort, but their visitors in this area. But Mr. Speaker, whilst we're keeping them comfortable in the 4x4, we also need to keep them comfortable in the places that they will be staying, the hotel rooms. We need to also support the Marriott so we can provide comfort for them in their hotel rooms. Mr. Speaker, the issue of our tourist comfort, our visitors' comfort, go beyond their traveling, go beyond their rooms. Mr. Speaker, we don't want our visitors, when they go to bed, they wake up in the middle of the night hot and sweaty because there is a blackout. We don't want to wake up in a blackout situation and the AC is off. Mr. Speaker, we need our visitors to be comfortable. So we need a reliable power supply to keep our hotels well energized. We need, Mr. Speaker,
Honourable Member, you have 5 minutes within which to conclude.
Mr. Speaker, you're going to give me a top up there, man. You know, Mr. R.K. Sharma, GT&T gives 10 after 2. And he's just a CEO. Mr. Speaker, you're the third
You get in
most
3
powerful
after 6.
3 after 6? Okay, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you see this issue of cheap renewable energy. We have to address that. So I will encourage Ms. Cathy Hughes to join us on that road to Amelia Falls, to make the Amelia Falls Hydro Project a reality. Mr. Speaker, it all goes towards addressing in a sustainable way renewable energy, not only for our visitors, but also for our people, cheap renewable energy. But you see, Mr. Speaker, these transformative projects, these projects will make people happy. They will bring comfort. The opposition don't want that. A happy, contented people will ensure they go back to the ballot and vote again for the PPP. So, the major objective of the opposition, APNU, is to ensure that the Guyanese people are not happy with the PPP. Do whatever it takes. They're there to ensure that the people of Guyana get the development of discomfort with the administration by stymieing projects that are intended that are intended to enhance the services that we bring to our people. But, Mr. Speaker, the PPP Civic will not stop. They will not be stopped. They will continue on this way forward for producing more for our Guyanese brothers and sisters. The radio station will also, Mr. Speaker, ensure that they have access to more than one channel, so that they can listen to different news. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Member Jennifer Wade, my colleague in Rice, and also Honorable Member from Region 3, Adams, I think, spoke about Rice and called, there's this need for us to give support to Rice. Mr. Speaker, obviously, Mr. Keith Scott, Honorable Member, was not aware of what the members' intentions are. And obviously, he did not listen to the leader of the opposition when he made a pronouncement, I think was on the 25th of March, to give whatever support this party can to the rice industry. And Keith Scott, you should also join hands in ensuring that not only we concentrate on improving services for the urban dwellers, the rural farmers, the farmers in Essequibo, in Blackbush Polar, they also need support. And the $500 million, Mr. Minister, Honorable Ashley Singh, I want to join in the call by Mr. Dayman, Honorable Member, for us to establish this rice milling facility in Region 2. Years now I've spoken to farmers about the RPA intention to establish such a facility in Essequibo. And we're prepared to work with you, sir, in a private-public partnership to ensure that this becomes a reality. But, Mr. Speaker, we cannot say that the rice sector is short of policy. Well, I mean, look at productivity, Mr. Speaker. Productivity moved from 3 tons per hectare in 1990 to 5.2 tons last season. Acreage, areas under cultivation for both crops, 1990, moved from 93,000 hectares in 1990 for both crops to that is the production, Mr. Speaker, to 535,000 tons in last season. Mr. Speaker, areas under cultivation, 1990, 51,368 hectares. By the time we reach 2013, 170,000 hectares, 833. How can we say we're short on policy? This shows clearly, Mr. Speaker, that rice is on the upward movement. Since 2010, Mr. Speaker, we've been breaking records. And I want to join with Minister Leslie Ramsamy in telling Dr. Ashley Singh that his projections in the budget of 540,000 tons is very conservative. It's very conservative. We're going to lick it up, Mr. Minister. We're going to lick it up with the farmers. Because the industry is on sound footing, Minister. The $500 million will go directly towards supporting our competitiveness, our resilience. The farmers have been involved in this, Mr. Speaker. 5 farmers exchange program was held recently. 157 farmer fee school activities in 2013 alone. 1,161 farmers were trained in these farmers fee school activities. We're bringing them along with us. 304 soil analyses were done to inform us about what kind of fertilizer to use. That is in 2013 alone, a continuation of our program going back since 2009. 154 paddy bog control demonstration programs were held involving the farmers. And these are not schools in any building. These are schools under a mango tree or a katahar tree down in the back dam. Only last Wednesday, Mr. Speaker, I was in the Hague back dam, where we addressed over 80 farmers from all 5 rice-growing regions on the coast about exchange program, better practices, and all of that. 14,500 acres of farmers' fields were certified, Mr. Speaker. The area of seed production is an area of concern. The Rice Research Station, Mr. Speaker, can only produce 12,000 bags per season. This country needs 230,000 bags of seed paddy. The RPA with its multiplication program is adding another 28,000 bags per year. The investment in the number 56 seat facility is going to ensure that we provide more high-quality seed for the farmers. And I agree with the Honorable Member Jennifer Wade that we need more seed. But because of the huge amount that is needed, we have taken the program forward to ensure that farmers themselves are trained in the art of seed production. And this will continue. Mr. Speaker, I too visited Baracara, and I'm very impressed with what the farmers are doing there. They have a medium barley type grain that a single panicle, I checked it, Mr. Speaker, had 237 grains. One single panicle. With that, but it's a short grain, it's a barley type grain, and I brought down samples for us to do further tests at the research station with our plant breeding department there. And I promised the farmers of Baracara that we will go back there with a technical team to address the issues of enhancing productivity in those fields so that we can continue not only to develop our farmers in the easily accessible areas, but also to address the concerns of farmers in the not so easily accessible areas. Like we did in the Mokomoko area in Region 9. And there's also the mega farm at Santa Fe. And for the information of Honorable Member Sidney Alicop, the use of the chemicals mentioned, Mr. Speaker, Karate and Pronto, we've been using those on the coastline areas here. After 7 days, the Karate is produced by a very reputable company named Syngenta. After 7 days, it's totally broken down. And this chemical, these two chemicals, Mr. Speaker, is used primarily for the control of the dreaded paddy bug, which can pose the biggest economic damage to the crop. These two chemicals are used at the time of harvesting. We plant rice in Guyana based on the seasons. We sow in the wet, we harvest in the dry. And once it's applied during harvesting time, which is the dry season, there's no way that it could reach into the waterways. And most of these chemicals, Mr. Speaker, they really become, they break down on touching soil because Guyana has signed on to for the eradication of POPs, that is persistent organic pollutants. So we no longer as a country using chemicals that can remain long in the environment and pose a danger to flora and fauna. So, Mr. Speaker, long gone are the days where we are using chemicals that can pose a danger. These chemicals are tested before they're released into the industry. Mr. Speaker, I am on page 3 of 7 pages, but I'm testing your patience. I don't want you to...
Your good friend is not in the chair. And believe me, you have been given...
I know, Mr. Speaker.
So I would
Mr.
ask
Speaker,
that you
I'm going to wrap up now.
wrap up, thank you.
I'm going to wrap up very
Interesting
quickly.
as it is, actually.
Yeah. You want me to continue along the lines, Mr. Speaker? I'm sorry.
To use a colloquialism, we'll have a gaffe
when
when we take the next suspension.
Mr. Speaker, the issue, I think there's a serious issue, and Honorable Member Robert Montgomery Prasad mentioned it, and I think that's a spill-off from the comment raised by Dr. Rupert Rupnarayan. The Honorable Member is a veteran politician in the local landscape and further afield, and I by no way can even attempt to put myself in a position to criticize his remarks. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, I will try to lend to it that this issue of shared governance, Mr. Speaker, also have to be engage all of us in attention, Mr. Speaker. You see, in the campaign, Mr. Speaker, leading up to the elections, we also have to address this issue as to what is happening here in the National Assembly. If we're touting shared governance outside, we also have to tout it here in this National Assembly. And Mr. Speaker, the party with 32 seats as against 26 and 7. There's nothing shared with the party with the majority seats. We don't have the speaker position. And Mr. Speaker, if it wasn't for the PPP's principal position, you might not be sitting there. You might not be sitting there. But we held to a principal position. We held to our principal position. And the party with the 32 seats, Mr. Speaker, did not even get the deputy speaker position. And if we're talking about shared governance, Mr. Speaker, you see, Mr. Speaker, it's easy to share what you don't have. It becomes more difficult to share what you have. And if we have the majority in the parliament, we also must share that. We must share that with the minority party that is in government. So, Mr. Speaker, the PPP, when it was in the majority, it shared. As a minority government, Mr. Speaker, it is also continuing that program of sharing. Sharing in here, sharing out there. And Mr. Speaker, budget 2014 is no different. A better Guyanese for all, a better Guyana for all Guyanese. Mr. Speaker,